All right. Welcome back.
Misfit Nation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by two veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience need to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, Stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @the_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. It's Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, misfits around the world. It's that time again. You survived Monday. You showed up on Tuesday. Now it's time to crank it up. These two bring the grit, the laughs, the real talk, the wild ride every single week. One's a business boss who doesn't miss a beat. The other's a war horse with a farm and a story for every scar. You know them. You love them. Now make some noise. Give it up for the voices of resilience, the champions of chaos, Jake and Steven, the ToosDay Crue.
Good evening. Good evening. Better every week.
And thank you, El Senor Producer. Good afternoon. Good evening, Stephen.
Good evening, sir. How are you today?
I am good. I just got back from slapping some shoes on my horses, and so I'm sitting down. Got me a glass of sweet tea, and sitting here and gonna chat with you and our guest.
I love watching videos of them doing the horse showing and scraping and cleaning. It's like the most relaxing thing in the world to watch. How hard is it to actually do?
I don't do the actual nailing. I take the old shoes off, clean up the hoof a little bit. The farrier, he does the nailing, and then I do the dressing up, clipping the nails, and doing all that afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I have drove nails. I have done that, but there is a very, very fine line in that hoof that if you screw it up, you screw it up bad. And I'm not going to do it to mine or anybody else's horses. So I'll let him handle that part, and I'll do all the rest.
Okay. I got it.
It's one of those things. Hey, we have a great guest tonight. I think this is going to be very full of energy. His name is Curt Linville. He is from Colorado. He is an adventurer. He is also a man of faith, a husband, a father, teacher, author. We'll talk about his book a little bit. And I've got on his YouTube channel, and he shoots videos of him riding his motorcycle through the mountains of Colorado. And it's some pretty hairy stuff. It's beautiful, and he gives commentary on it as he's riding. So let's get him on here.
Good evening.
Gentlemen,
How are you, sir?
How you
how are
doing,
you
Kurt?
tonight? It's fun. I love that intro. I was having a great time. What a hoot. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you. And you'll have to thank our producer for that. He's our hype man.
Hype it up. Yeah, that's fun. That's super fun. And I have a question for you. ToosDay is the inclusive two, not the day two. Is there a story behind that?
But it's kind of a play on Motley Crue, and we're on, it's Tuesday.
There you go.
Both of us are products of the public education system. So
Very true.
Oh, that's fun.
And hey,
That's fun. Well,
Stephen,
thank you.
hey, before we get started, Stephen, the first question is for you.
Yeah, and I don't get that because I'm never repping Joey Logano.
We hate Joey Logano.
What is it? Real Towel Love 27. I'm always repping Joey Logano. What makes him the GOAT in your book? He doesn't make me to go out. He is one whiny little. He used to be when he was younger. He was good, and then
You can say
as he
bitch.
got older, I know. As he got older, he got a little more crankier and crankier. And now he's sitting there in his rocking chair saying, "Hey, you get off my porch, get off my grass." And I'd rather watch him hit a wall than win a race right now. Sorry to kill that thought for you there, but I don't think he's the GOAT.
Hey, Kurt, I talked a little bit. It just gave about a 5-cent intro of you. If you could fill in the other 95 cents of it and just you can start from whenever you want to start to how we got here today.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to go this route. I believe that people need a really good why.
Okay.
You've probably heard it said before, if you have the right why, you can endure anything, right? You can accomplish whatever it takes if you have the right why. And so my whys have always been my family, helping other people when I get a chance to, give someone a little bit of an assist along the way. And adventure became a huge thing for me because I like to challenge myself, find out what I can and can't do. And more than anything, though, it's just interacting with nature in ways that just gives back so much to me. But I realized pretty early on that if you go out and climb a mountain or raft a river or, ride your motorcycle in these trails in Colorado, if you're just doing it for yourself, it starts to feel pretty hollow. So I learned it's really about the people that you do it with.
Mm-hmm.
And so my buddy and I started the Adventure Sports podcast 10 years ago, where we interview people about their adventures in Colorado and all around the world. And the goal was always to encourage people to get involved doing something they love so that they can meet new people and benefit from all of the exercise and being outdoors and all that kind of stuff. And, over the years, I just started realizing that a new generation was coming up and that it wasn't like all the generations that I'd seen before. And every generation is different because they grew up in a different time.
Mm-hmm.
But as my own kids went through college, I started realizing that their peers, it just felt like no one had offered them a foundation to stand on.
Okay.
And this became something that just really called to me. And so in addition to inviting people into a life of adventure, and life itself is the greatest adventure of all, I thought, you know what? These kids need a toolkit so that, and young adults and younger adults, people that are trying to sort out this life, they need a toolkit so that they can figure out what their foundation is, what they really, really believe. And here's the reason why. I believe, guys, that our beliefs shape our decisions. And our decisions, of course, shape our outcomes. And our outcomes are what shape an entire life. So if you don't know what you stand for, you really have a disability when it comes to navigating life. So I wrote the book, and so I do the Adventure Sports podcast, and I'm now trying to let people know that there is a toolkit out there if people want some perspective. I'm not telling people what to believe, but some perspective to begin shaping a belief system that is foundational enough to build a life on. That's what the book's about. It's how to do that.
Okay. Now, I didn't watch any episodes of your podcast. Where can people find your Adventure Sports podcast?
Well, the podcast itself is on all the, the podcast formats, all the podcatchers out there. So Apple Podcasts or Spotify or you name it. And the Adventure Sports podcast really is about learning the why of adventurers and finding out what your adventure might be that you would like to do. I also have a YouTube channel for the Adventure Sports podcast, and we just started putting videos on it. There's been audio on it for a while, but now you can see videos there too. But I guess I wanted to go beyond the podcast, which I love. I wanted to be able to go the next level, and that's really why I wrote the book.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get into that here in just a couple minutes. The first thing on your thing, it says that you are a man of faith.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that you have to have that.
Yeah.
Because faith has to be that has to be the rock that you stand on, in my opinion, because if you don't have faith, really, you don't have anything. That's my opinion. That's what I read in the Bible. And I believe in having a very strong faith. And yeah, I'm glad that was like one of your first things up there that you are, because if you're a person of faith, all that other just seems to it makes all that easier, that all that stuff, for me anyway, to fall into place. Is that your experience with it, or how's your experience with your faith?
Jake, that's a great question. And that's the first time anyone has asked me that question. And I appreciate that.
Okay.
I'll be really open with you guys. I consider myself a non-religious man of faith.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because we've had a couple of generations now that were taught about all the bad things that religion has done historically and in our current day. And religion has done a lot of bad things.
Yes.
And the generations, the last couple of generations have just been taught that religion is what caused 9/11. That's why the towers fell. And I don't like that perspective, because I think religion has so much good to offer and so many amazing contributions to history and the humanities and to understanding life and the sacred and all of that stuff. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I really realized faith is what I believe. It's how I conduct my life and my relationship with my Creator. And making it about that, my beliefs, my relationship with my Creator, is where I found the most encouragement. And I'm not opposed to churches at all, but I've come to realize that in this generation, people need to understand that it's not a country club, and that there's something real. You can actually have a real relationship with your Creator, with Jesus, and that can change your life. Now, that's not what my book's about. I wrote my book to be non-religious on purpose, because I wanted to reach everybody, not just people that, have some alignment with what I think about faith. So my book is more about sorting out belief systems, including that, but sorting out belief systems you can build a life on. And Jake, I don't get real pushy with it in the book at all, because I want people to have that experience. But I agree with you 100%. Having a relationship with your creator, knowing who your Lord is, that is the foundation on which everything else follows.
Oh yeah.
But there are a lot of people who disagree with that, and I am sympathetic to all the reasons why. And matter of fact, I would say if you've never had the experience of having to question that super, super deeply, some people would say it's an existential crisis of some sort, and then finally coming to that faith relationship. If you haven't had to wrestle with it, then, well, there's more. There's a lot more out there for you that can make it very, very real in your life.
Yes, there is. And there's times
one thing I see about religion or faith is we can all read the same line in the Bible, and each one of us will take that line differently. And that's how you need to live your life. You can't just say, this is what it means, because this is what it means to me. It doesn't mean the same thing to you, and it's not going to mean the same thing to him sometimes.
And I would argue
how you take it, you know?
Yeah, Stephen, it won't mean the same thing to you 10 years from now or 5 years from now or the next time you read it. It'll impact you a different way.
Right.
And that's the way that truth is. It's multifaceted, it's deep, it's meaningful, and it helps us where we are, not where we've been or where we want to be, but where we are if we allow it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you know, I went to Catholic school from kindergarten to ninth grade, so things were drilled into my head, and things, you know, that was happening. And you know, like I said, we could all look at that line and it would be different for every one of us. And still to this day, you know, it's not all going to be the same. It's all spiritual, but we're all going to take it differently. Yeah.
You know, the way I say it is, I tell my kids sometimes, I just say "gick," and they know what that means. It means God's in charge.
And he is.
And so the beauty of that is that we can disagree on our interpretations and disagree in our beliefs. And it's when we engage with people in a loving way, in a respectful way, that we learn and grow. And maybe as our faith develops, we get even more benefit from it because we visited with people that have a different tradition or a different interpretation.
Yeah, and I want to throw something in there right on that. You talked about today's generations and stuff. What happened to the art or the pastime of having a disagreement with somebody and discussing it with them?
Yeah.
Like an adult, instead of, you know, the first time I disagree with you, I call you a name or start yelling and screaming at you, you know, like goes on today. That right there is, and somebody just popped up, social media happened. And I'm sure that, you know, nobody sits on the front porch and chews the fat anymore.
Well, and I sat on the front porch and chewed the fat for many years with my grandparents, with my uncles, with my cousins, and people don't do a lot of that anymore. And I think that's super, super sad. But I want to throw another one at you, Jake, and you tell me what you think of this. I think it happened around the time that Bill Clinton was president. I look at Bill Clinton as perhaps our last quasi-centrist president.
Okay.
And then we saw the left and the right go further and further apart and pointing more and more fingers, and it became more militant. There used to be a strong central group of people in politics, and I don't want to get political. I'm not going to call out one side or the other. I'm just saying that when they started trying to be more divisive to get votes, more militant to get commitment, then we've had, I mean, when was Clinton president? 93, 94-ish?
Yeah, and well, through most of the 90s, yeah.
So we're talking about, you know, it's been like 30 years now that we've had a political system where it's a new religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that religion is my side's right and your side's wrong. And I don't think that that's really benefiting anybody. And I think that that's where a lot of this came from. People forgot how to sit down and have a conversation about, you know, the distinctions between what they believe. And part of that is because we've been trained by the media to point fingers and to make other people look bad. And I think that that's a lot of what happened over the last 30 years. And I really feel for a generation that didn't get to experience the idea of just respectful comparison of ideas, even debate, I feel for that.
Yes. Well, hey, we're gonna dive here into. I want to talk about some of your gunny moto.
Okay.
Just real quick, but hey, for anybody just joining us, we have Curt Linville on here. He's an adventurer, he's an author, and father, teacher, and he has a podcast and YouTube channel where he talks about the adventures, and he has a book out there. We're going to be talking about that book. But I watched 2 episodes of Gunny Moto. I was just going to watch episode 8. But after I went through the longest 10 minutes ever of you trying to find Crystal, I had to go with episode 9 for you to finish the trip. And so, and then of course at 1954 in, where you laid the bike, and that was some rough terrain, brother. That was,
well, the GoPro flattens everything. And so it's far worse than it looks. I can guarantee you that.
Oh yeah. Hey, I used to, when I lived out there in Colorado, there's a dirt road kind of west of the springs. We'd get on it and we would travel around. It was called Gold Camp Road. And you could get into Cripple Creek and Victor up through that way.
Yeah.
And that was before the gambling casinos and all that come in up
right
there. Go up there, have you some ice cream and a soda pop. And then we would come home through Phantom Canyon and end up down between Pueblo and Canyon Springs, and then on back to Colorado Springs. And I can't tell you how many times I did that. And we used to camp down in there all the time. It's just beautiful down in there.
Yeah, it's nice.
But
nice country.
Jake, did they call it bedrock back then? Was Barney your neighbor?
Hush. I'm not that much older than you, boy.
Yeah, I know.
So, Stephen, I get what your job is. That's to keep us from telling too tall of tales, right?
He's like, oh, way back before this. Yeah. Dino was walking in the yard and Barney was next door.
But just some of that footage that you get, going through Lead King Basin and the Devil's Punch Bowl, that is just, and then I caught a couple clips of, Gunnison in the wintertime when you all went out and then went snowshoeing the next day.
Sure.
That's just, I'm kind of envious of the country that you live in out there. It's
a lovely place, and I welcome anybody to come and experience it if they want to. I grew up in northeastern Oklahoma, and we came to Colorado when I was 10 years old. My family did a trip out here, and I think that's actually when I decided I was going to live here. And
nice.
Within 12 hours of when I graduated from college, I was in my car driving west. So I came to Colorado and said, I'm going to figure it out. And it's funny. I had a friend who actually left Colorado. He said the cover charge is too high. It's a great party, but the cover charge is just too high. It's so expensive,
Yeah, it is.
But if you decide to be committed and sort it out, you can build a good life here.
Well, I like it there in the middle of Colorado because it's not built up like Eastern Colorado. I mean, when I was out there in the mid 80s, and Colorado Springs was big, but it's nothing like it is now.
Yeah. It's certainly grown a lot. The whole nation has,
Yes.
Colorado has too.
Oh, yes, it has. Yes, it has. Well, let's get into 99 words. And folks, I encourage you to get on Amazon, check out this book, 99 Words. I don't have the book yet, but Amazon lets you preview the book. I read through the first 15 pages, and the first line of the book, caution, this is a dangerous book. It might make you give a damn.
That's right. That's the point.
And then, you know, in the next few lines, you're telling people to put on their seatbelts because it's going to be a ride. And
yes,
I like how you laid it out, the 3 sections, and I'm just going to let you go through, talk about the 3 sections of the book and why you put what in what section, and
sure.
We'll do it up.
Well, thanks.
And if you want any quotes out of chapter 1, let me know. I've got it pulled up right here. So,
well, I have a copy right here too. So,
well, I figured you did. And folks, that is the book, 99 words, Building a Better Life. And hey, just from scanning it, I think if you read it honestly and are honest with yourself when you're reading it. I do believe it can change your life.
Well, I hope so. You know, I saw so many kids struggling so much in college, and then watching my own kids starting in their adulting, and they've been doing a fantastic job. But I just realized it just seems like a lot of the foundations, like I said earlier, have been swept out from under us. And some of the old belief systems needed to be revisited and revised. We had some problems. I'm not like a traditionalist that says things should never change. Rather, we need to do right things. And what I realized is that there were a few isms that I think are really hurting younger adults these days. The book's written for people of all adult ages, but especially for those that are trying to get a start in life. And the isms that I worry the most about are nihilism. And that's really where the first chapter starts. It's like, you know, there's a reason to believe that you matter and that life is worth living. Right.
Yes.
So the first, right out of the chute, I'm talking about, if you think that life has no meaning, I'm here to tell you otherwise. Right. And I'll share that throughout the text. That's what it was really about. And then another one is narcissism. You know,
yes.
our society tries to almost force us into increased levels of narcissism so that we can get enough likes in social media, so we can build up. I don't know exactly what people are searching for. Everyone has a different story. But whenever you're trying to be recognized by a million people you don't know because you're prettier or more adventurous or more handsome or do something crazier than anybody else, I think that that's a hollow pursuit.
It is. It is. And just, it was out of the text of the book. One of the examples that you had, and you were talking about, you don't need everything to be happy.
Yeah.
Was talking about the child that was yearning for a toy. When
Right.
they finally got the toy, they had to share it, but they didn't want to. That started a rift, and then that toy basically becomes a symbol of anger or what, you know, what was
sure.
good becomes a sign of anger and resentment now. And yeah, I mean, people are like that in everyday, you know, well, hey, I want a bigger car. I want a newer car. Why does he get to have one and I don't get to have one? Is he better than me? And that took a long time for me to figure out. But man, I'm glad I did.
Well, and I'm not opposed to having nice things. I think that's great, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that if you're trying to give life meaning through having nice things, then you're barking up the wrong tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, eventually you're just going to be broke and bored of all the toys that have gotten rusty in the corner, so to speak.
But you do have a nice motorcycle.
Well, you know, it's 21 years old now.
Nice.
And I rebuilt the carburetor 7 times. I'm not kidding. Literally 7 times. And then I blew the engine. So I actually swapped the engine in it, and I had never done anything like that. So it was a big learning experience, but I do enjoy that motorcycle. you know, and
But
I didn't go to the dealer and buy the shiny new one.
mhm.
You know, I'm kind of writing a classic at this point.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I tell you what, folks, I urge you get on YouTube, look up Gunny Moto, and it's first of all the scenery is amazing, and second of all, it's some good commentary in there too. So, yeah.
Well, I pontificate a lot because I need something to say, you know. But
Yes.
what I realized is that there aren't a lot of people. There are a lot of shows on YouTube that show you motorcycles and scenery and four-wheeling and stuff like that. And then there are a lot of shows that talk about things that matter in life, you know, whether it's philosophy or, you know, the deeper things that I think do give life meaning. And I thought, why not combine the two? So it's a weird juxtaposition. And
It is.
I do it just for fun. And I haven't posted a new episode in a while because I've just been too swamped. But I tell you, it's a joy to ride with a few thousand of my closest friends. Even though I haven't had that many views, that's the idea, is that, you know, I'm out there solo, but I know that I can share it with people who might appreciate it. And another motivation was that there are a lot of people who like to come to our area and explore it on side-by-sides or four-wheelers or razors or whatever they want, you know. And I thought they might appreciate a preview of what some of this stuff is like. So
Nice.
Anyway,
Regular guy on a regular bike, not not a Lamborghini. It's a bike. You know, I'm riding my motorcycle.
There you go.
A lot of people just don't get that. I work retail, and I have 18, 19-year-olds. 19-year-old just graduated 18-year-old just graduated high school, starting college, and daddy got him a BMW. I'm like, what the hell does an 18-year-old need a BMW for? I'm 56. I drive a Kia Soul, my little hamster mobile. It gets me to work. Like, why don't you get a bigger car? Why don't you get this? Because I need to get to work, and that's all I need to do. I don't need to flash. I don't need to have all the bells and whistles. I need a car. I don't need to be an 18-year-old driving a BMW.
Well, I kind of laughed the other day. I heard someone, I don't even remember who it was now, but someone talking about, when I see someone go buying a Lamborghini, I only know one thing about that person. They're at least $200,000 more poor than they were.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think, well, I get it. You know, fun toys are fun toys. They have their place. I'm not knocking it, but you have a good point, Stephen. There are needs, there are wants. But I think the thing that gets us in trouble is when we think we have to have something to show off with, because it's just going to disappoint ultimately, right?
Yeah.
And we can have so much joy and fun without all the toys. It's a matter of the things that really matter in life. And so there are 3 sections to the book, and of course, there's a section that kind of addresses this. The first section of the book is kind of like the philosophy or even the psychology of how to have a fulfilling and meaningful life. And then the middle section of the book is more of a how-to in terms of, well, how do you implement this stuff? What can you do that would make it more real in your life, so more applicable? And then the last section is, I like to think of it as things to watch out for, deceptions in our modern world that would lead us into wasting a lot of time and energy and maybe resources on things that aren't really going to add to a meaningful life in the long term. And Stephen, that's what you're referring to, I think. But so it's a warning, and it's a warning against some of the isms, in the third section. And that actually is the third ism that I was going to talk about before, is postmodernism. And the postmodernist idea was a reaction to modernism. And modernism was saying that there's a reason for everything, and we can find ultimate truth, and everything's kind of fits in this nice empirical idea of what things are. And the postmodernists said, that's too small of a box for me. And so they reacted to it. It seems like every generation wants to come up with a new ism that they can claim. But postmodernism is a poison. And the reason let me explain what I mean by that. Postmodernism as a belief system, people don't know what the word even means, but the belief system is that there's no actual truth, that everyone's perception of truth is true for that person, and that is their truth, but there's no truth outside of that. And the problem is that when you have two people that believe two different things about the same subject and they're in direct contradiction, postmodernism would say they're both right. But that cognitive dissonance is so destructive. I believe that there is absolute truth. And when I make that statement, people look at me funny because it's not a popular position to take. But I will add to that, there is absolute truth, but none of us have it yet. We're climbing the mountain together, and we all have our own perspectives. And we're all learning and growing. And we should respect each other. And like we started talking about earlier, Jake, we can have real conversations and we can learn from each other. And I think make life that much more meaningful. So anyway, postmodernism, I think, is a poison that's really hurt people. And it's a poison that became very popular several years back, a couple of generations ago. And that's kind of an example of what the third part of the book is about. It's like, look out for this kind of stuff. If it doesn't make sense, maybe it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I kind of joke. You're going to like this one, I'll bet, Stephen. A buddy of mine used to say, I don't care what you believe about that 2x4. If I pick it up and hit you in the head with it, it's going to hurt. And he says, I'm a 2x4ian.
Yeah.
And it sounds a little bit violent, but he was making a point. Truth doesn't care what you believe.
No,
truth is truth. And if you abuse it and misuse it, it's going to hit you in the head, slap you upside the head, and you're going to learn the hard way some of life's lessons. So
very, very quickly.
Well, there's a chapter in the book called 99 Words. And I want to explain that just briefly, if I might, Jake, because
go ahead.
It's like the title cut of the album. 99 words are literally 99 words. I started brainstorming what I wanted to write about in this book, and I thought, I need 12 concepts, maybe 10 that would make a good book, and I'll write about each one. Each chapter will be a different concept. And when I got to 99 in my brainstorming, I made myself stop, and I realized that I couldn't write 99 chapters in a book. That'd be ridiculous. But I had something else there, and that was 99 ideas that help us to kind of look at ourselves and determine areas where we could learn without getting the 2x4 up, against the side of our head. And, life will throw difficult times at all of us. It's the way of life. And we learn so much from those times, but a lot of the difficulties we bring on ourselves by just being stupid and ignorant. And we don't have to go there. So, yeah, we've all been there, right? So the idea behind 99 words is literally clear your mind and your heart and read those words and be honest with yourself. And you will find areas where you say, you know what, if I could sort that out, I think things would go better for me.
Okay.
And so the idea is for it to be an inspiration to start working on things so that we don't have to wait until the hard lesson comes our way. We can fix things before the hard lesson.
Yes. Yeah. As I get older, I'm becoming a bigger fan of that. Because those hard lessons are a lot times they are a lot harder to recover from once you get a little bit older. And that's just Jake's opinion, but that's one of those things. We got some questions that came in.
Okay.
Yeah, getting older.
From Mountain Soul 89, Curt, how do you mentally prepare for extreme endurance adventures, especially when you're pushing your limits? Thank you for that question, Mountain Soul 89.
I like that handle too, Mountain Soul 89. That's cool. I can relate to that. Well, obviously there's fitness, but doing what you love will make you fit if you get out and start doing it and you're careful not to hurt yourself, I think most of the preparation really is about in my mind, it. For instance, if I go backpacking, what is in my pack matters far, far less than the gear that's between my ears. And so learning how to manage yourself in situations, what to do when things go wrong, I think that's more important for extreme adventures than anything else. Knowing when to call it, when to turn around, knowing what to do when things don't go right. And preparing for that is just a matter of, there are lots of resources, but if you're interested in something, then start digging into it. You know, if you want to be a rock climber, learn your knots. If you want to go backpacking, then I would suggest that you learn wilderness survival techniques and edible foods, because these things could save your skin. And if you want to go sailing, there's a lot to learn before you can make a sailboat sing, you know? It's I think that really mental preparation is the most. But then in addition to that, the magic happens just outside of your comfort zone. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. But you don't want to go so far out of that comfort zone that you're in over your head and you can't get out.
Yes.
So choose adventures that are sized appropriately for where you are in that learning. Don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to yourself yesterday. And that way you can see how you're growing and learning. And as you do that and you have amazing experiences, one anecdote just to kind of illustrate this. I think people just need to choose something and try it. My son was fishing the other day. He was in a canoe on a mountain lake, and an osprey and a bald eagle got in a fight over a fish. And they were sparring midair with this trout. They're trying to get it from each other. And he came home just blown away that he saw this because it was so fun. And I said, but what would have happened had you not gone out this morning? You wouldn't have seen that or anything else. Matter of fact, a week later, you wouldn't even remember what you did that morning.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to remember the osprey and the bald eagle fighting over the trout for the rest of his life. And it's because he stepped out the door.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what adventure is. And that's really what this book is about.
It is.
You want to have a better life? Step out the door.
Yes. And I tell you, I got to hand it to the osprey because, I mean, you know, osprey size and eagle size, there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yes.
And the balls on that thing to think he could fight an eagle. He stepped out the door and said, I'm going to do something uncomfortable today.
Well, here's something else. This is a totally off topic, but you mentioned the balls of the bird, right? Of the osprey.
Yeah.
I got to share this because I just learned it this year. And this is what's fun about interacting with nature. The things that you can learn, they're kind of mind-blowing. So birds are optimized for flight. They need to be very light, right?
Yes.
So when it's not mating season, male birds, their balls shrink down to nothing. They weigh nothing. And when mating season comes on, they grow by many hundreds of % to become functional enough to carry on the next generation. I didn't know that.
And now I have to.
I just learned something.
I don't know about regular birds. I deal a lot with chickens.
There you go.
And I butcher a lot of chickens. And I have caponized roosters before.
Yep.
And I got to find out, are all birds' testicles up in underneath their wings like a chicken's?
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I don't know. I do know that chickens will mate year round, so they probably don't go through the same exercise.
No,
they're
probably
slightly.
Yeah, and most time in a good size, I'd say a rooster that's about 3 or 4 years old, they're generally about that big. But okay, that's enough about chicken anatomy.
Well, hey, I'm talking about the cojones to get out and build a good life. So I think
it's
on
topic. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And we got another question coming in here from Gearhead Louisa. What's one lesson you've learned from nature that changed how you approach challenges in daily life? Thank you for that question, Gearhead Louisa.
Wow. Yeah, I have learned so much from nature that I can't think in those terms almost. It's like it's so much a part of my identity that it's like, oh, what was the one big thing? No, it's how it shaped the whole of me. So it's a matter of getting out there and having the experiences. But here's a story for you. We were camping in late fall, and some buddies pointed at a 13,000-foot peak that was off in the distance, and they said, "Do you think we could climb that?" And I said to them, I said, "Well, you know what? It's a little bit late in the day. Looks like we have a storm moving in, and we really don't have the right gear. It's going to snow. It's going to get dark, and we could be in trouble. Do you really want to try that?" And they said, "Yeah, let's go." And so, young people, this is not a criticism. Been there. I get it, 100%. But when you're young, your prefrontal cortex hasn't developed enough to tell you that when someone says you're going to be at 13,000 feet in a blizzard in the dark, that should be something that makes you pause. So anyway, we went for it. Long story short, we didn't quite summit. We almost got to the top. So we were up around probably 12,800 or something like that when the snow started. And then it got dark. And we were amongst cliffs. And suddenly there was no light because it's a snowstorm. We didn't have flashlights. We didn't have proper clothes. And we started hiking out, really feeling our way out. Couldn't find the trail. Cliffs everywhere. We realized we were in a super hazardous situation. It's the number one danger in the backcountry is falling off of cliffs in the dark like this. But we got to a point where we were on a high place and there was a rollover where the train gets steeper and steeper and steeper. We didn't know if it cliffed out or if it shallowed out at the bottom. We couldn't see more than about 5 feet in front of us. We were nearly hypothermic. We had been foolish, made some really bad decisions, and it was a life-threatening situation. And me and my two buddies just grouped together like a football huddle and said, "God, we've been stupid. We need some help, and we're going to trust you." Because we didn't know what else to do, we started walking down that slippery, snowy, icy rollover, not knowing if we're going to cliff out or not. And every step was a step of faith. But you know what? We got to the bottom by the grace of God.
Mm-hmm.
And the life lesson that I learned from that, you can find yourself in situations where you are not really enough, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But another thing happened, and that was that one of my buddies really did get hypothermic. And when you get hypothermic, when the temperature of the blood in your brain starts to drop, you lose your ability to reason. And that's really what gets people because they quit doing something to survive because of the hypothermia. Yeah. And so he just suddenly stopped and he said, "You know what? I think I'm going to sit down here. You guys go on. I'm just going to," you know, he could hardly mumble. "I'm just going to sit down here for now. And you guys, you go on. I'm okay." He would have died.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He was moments away from death. When you lose your reasoning ability like that, the next step is you're gone. And so we had to go back and shake him, you know, grab him by the shoulders and just shake and shake and shake and say, "You will walk on with us. Hello, wake up. Come on," you know. And probably an hour later, we hiked out. We got to a campfire and literally had to melt the ice off of our shoelaces so we could untie our boots. We were covered in ice everywhere.
Oh, I imagine.
But the thing that I learned there is there are times when you do have to keep going. If you stop, you'll die.
Yes.
There are times when you need a buddy to come alongside of you and shake some sense into you and make you keep going. We all need each other. I learned so many lessons about foolishness, about trusting the divine, about the importance of friendship, and about going when the times get really, really hard from that one adventure. And, you know, I have scores and scores of stories like that where by the grace of God, I'm here to tell them, but they shaped who I am. And I really believe that when you get into adventure sports and you learn endurance and you learn how to keep going, then that can shape the rest of your life. It can give you the tenacity and the courage to really persevere.
Hey, I lived through that. I can live through anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to point out again that, you know, you called out for God in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And he
didn't drop a snowstorm on you.
He delivered you out of it. I got another question in here. I am not going to try to. Thank you for your question.
I think it's Alexander the Great. I'm not sure.
There you go.
Hey, we'll go with that.
Or Alexander Dagger. I'm not sure. I apologize.
I like it.
How did you balance a professional career with your passion for adventure and outdoor storytelling?
Hard work, commitment. And I don't want to build myself up as some superhuman. I'm not. But here's the thing.
How you were telling us in the green room.
I'm sorry?
You're telling a different story now. I'm joking.
It's what this book is about, really. It's about finding something that you value and then pouring yourself into it, because that's what the meaning of life is all about. If someone asks you what the meaning of life is, it's the wrong question. The question is, what gives life meaning for me?
Okay.
And so when you find out what you love and what you value, and you pour yourself into it in a way that helps other people, that's key. Then it will be so rewarding. You'll be motivated, and you'll find a way to make it happen. Lots of weekend warrior stuff might be the answer. You know,
Yeah.
A lot of my adventures were about getting out of the house. I would leave work at 5 and already have a backpack loaded up or something. I'd grab my nephews, my sons, or my daughter, my wife, and we'd go. And, by Sunday evening, we get home exhausted, and I'd be back at the office on Monday morning. But it was the weekends that gave me the energy. I was rejuvenated enough that I could make the 9 to 5 or 7 to 6 reality into something I could succeed at. You've got to feed your soul. You got to feed your spirit. And then we moved from the Front Range and, around Denver, where we had to escape the city for our adventures. We moved to a place where we'd have the adventures out our door. And then we started going to Denver for the career path. And that changed everything, because it used to be you'd have to drive for 3 hours to go somewhere to do the thing you wanted to do, and you still had to drive back at the end of the weekend. But what happened was I had the adventure out my back door, literally. If I wanted to go mountain biking, I didn't even need a bike rack. I just jump on the bike and went. The trail's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did that, and it's hard to do, you have to arrange your life so that it's possible. But when we did that, it changed the whole equation up on its head. Yeah, I made some long drives into the Front Range so that I could continue to be successful in my professional career. But having the adventure close to home made it so much more accessible.
Yes.
So I don't know if any of that resonates, but I think it's just a matter of realizing what you really value and then pouring yourself into that.
Awesome. And another one, we got all kind of questions from Can't Stop 593R. What's one piece of gear you never head into the backcountry without, and why?
The gear between my ears, number one. That's the most important. And that's experience. And keep in mind, guys, if you don't want to make mistakes, you need to have experience. And the way you get experience is by making a lot of mistakes. So, you just have to sometimes live it, but be careful, right? So the gear between your ears is number one. Learn survival skills, learn wisdom, learn risk management and decision-making in the wilderness, all of that. It's fun and it will save your skin. But if you want to talk about physical gear that I don't want to go into the wilderness without, it's something that can cut. You need a knife. because there's so many things you just can't do without something that can cut. But once you learn survival skills and you do have a small blade, it doesn't even have to be big, then you can do so much with what's between your ears and that one blade. But like if I go on a motorcycle ride, I'm riding 30, 50, 60 miles into the wilderness alone. I don't do that unless I have enough gear with me to spend the night. I have enough food and water to get through like 24 hours. And I make sure that I have the stuff to manage small first aid issues, although the reality is most of the small things don't really matter. It's the big stuff that you got to worry about, and you can't carry that with you anyway. So that's where you have to, again, have it between your ears, you know, what to do in these situations. But I make sure that I can survive a night at altitude in the cold without hypothermia killing me. So I make sure that I have that gear, which usually means, you know, a puffy and some rain gear, and I have an emergency Mylar sleeping bag I take with me. I have another tarp that I can use if I'm caught in a storm. You know, just that kind of simple stuff makes all the difference. So I would say the knife, but I would also say make sure you have a way to stay dry and insulated. That makes all the difference.
Okay. All right. A
Okay,
knife.
out on the bike, where do you carry the backup gas?
On my motorcycle?
Yeah, you just have it hanging.
Well, I have a gallon that rides on the back of my motorcycle.
Oh,
That,
okay.
you know, and that gallon is good for about 40 to 50 miles on my motorcycle. So that's where the backup gas is. I used to carry a little pony bottle on my front fender, which was good for maybe 5 or 6 miles, but I upgraded. I don't mind having that extra gallon, but I've never used it.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that's good. That's good. One more question here, then we're going to start wrapping things up. And this is for me and you from Grass Liquor. Will Cagney and Lacey make an appearance live together this week as promised?
I'm not sure if we will do a show because I will be that way, but maybe Saturday we'll do a video together and we'll post it on YouTube or Facebook or somewhere.
Yes, we will do a video.
It won't be a whole show because
Yes.
you know it's kind of hard right now. Well, you know, I haven't been on the plane yet. That's 2 days from now.
Okay, Misfit Nation. The book is 99 words, Building a Better Life. The YouTube channel is Gunimoto. That is very interesting. There is some great scenery there. I subscribe today. I suggest that you get on there and check it out because the scenery and the commentary are just outstanding. And we have one more question for you, Curt.
Okay.
What are three non-negotiables that Curt has to do every day when he gets out of bed?
Besides the biological functions?
Yes.
We don't mean 8 times during the night when you get out of bed for the day.
I try to always have time for some quiet time.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'm listening to something I can learn from, another podcast. Sometimes I'm reading the Bible. Sometimes I'm reading another book. But I try to always start my day being thoughtful. And so that's uber critical.
Okay.
I'm one of these people that absolutely has to have breakfast or I wilt. And so for me, I have to have healthy food right there. That's a non-negotiable. And I'm going to throw this out there. I would like to be better at this. I think that all of us would benefit from it. But I want to start every day with love. And this book goes in great depths to explain what I'm talking about. Most people these days have never really understood what love is. Our modern society teaches a love that isn't really love.
No.
But I believe that starting your day with love in your heart, love for your family, love for humanity, love for the creation, love for yourself, and love for your creator. If you can start every day with that, then man, you're off to a great start.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Well, Curt, it has been really fun. I had a blast. This hour went quick.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
It does. It does. It goes too fast. Misfit Nation, thank you for joining us. Thank you for the questions. We love you. Remember, if you're down, if you're feeling the darkness, pick up that phone, dial 988. If you're a veteran, take option 1. Somebody will talk to you. If you don't get what you're looking for there, email me, email Steven, email info at the Misfit Nation. Send us your phone number. We'll call you. I have always got an ear, and Steven, we've always got ears to listen. We will listen to your problems. And there's, tomorrow will be a better day with you here in it. So just remember that.
May I add to that, Jake, just real briefly? People think they don't matter. You are so incredibly valuable. Whoever you are out there who's wondering if your life matters or not, it does. You are so infinitely valuable, and you don't know the impact that you're having on the people around you. And if you take just a little bit of effort, then the impact might go for generations and generations to come. And you may never know how vast of an impact you had, but you matter. Your potential to make a difference is so vast. So hang on to that. Hang on to that.
And I'm not even going to add anything to that. Misfit Nation, we love you.
Peace.
Good night, everybody. Don't forget to check us out on Reach Across America at 3 p.m. Eastern on Mondays. See you next Tuesday, if not sooner. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.